It's now time for Ermanni and Edwards with Maz, live on the Woodward Sports Network.
No,
Every day, 2 to 4
you've never
p.m.,
been straight.
Starring Ryan Ermanni, Michigan great and former NFL baller Braylon Edwards, and of course, Tom Mazaway. Let's talk some sports.
Yeah, let's talk. You know, I think that's always a positive thing. With Sean Baligian, I'm Matt Shepard. We are filling in for Ryan Ermanni and Braylon Edwards. Kool-aid and Pete are with us as well. It's great to have us all back after having a really enjoyable time yesterday. I was a little late coming in to the office today because I took something from Christmas back. I looked in line, and I was the 5th person in line. And this is what I noticed, and this is why I tell my wife all the time. I don't know where I'd be without my wife because she does all the shopping. Okay? I shop for her, and that's basically it. I can't stand malls or stores unless it's a sports store or a men's suit store.
Grocery store.
And Costco.
You don't like groceries?
So. And I think the reason is it's not necessarily the store. It's probably more the people who are just taking forever. They take forever. When I go up and I'm returning something, I got my receipt there. I got the card just in case. I got the bag. I've got everything ready. There's 4 people in front of me just putzing around. It's just taking forever. And it was driving me crazy. So that's why I was just a tad tardy today.
I'll never forgive you.
So I apologize. That and because I was a little upset from the Wings game last night. This is where I want to start. I'm fortunate because I know the guy to my right is always watching hockey. It's football. It's particularly college football.
Love it.
And hockey.
Love it.
And then the NFL for Sean. And I could be wrong about 1 and 2, but they're pretty damn close.
No, you nailed it. It's hockey, it's college football, then the NFL.
So here's my question regarding the Wings, who I love to watch. I think most of Detroit does. I enjoy their offense. I think the acquisition of Patrick Kane was rock solid. I worry about them right now. They are winless in 9 of their last 11, and it sure as hell isn't Patrick Kane's fault. But my question to you while I was watching this, I was going to text you, but we both have families, so I'm not going to waste your time with that. You probably put your phone away. Is it personnel? Is it coaching? Or is it system? And when I say system, I wanted to bring it up to you because I don't think you're just like, well, there's a turnover at the blue line, and that leads to a 2-on-1, and now it's a problem, and that's the reason for the goal. There's a system involved that most of us don't always recognize. And I'm not afraid to admit, I don't always recognize it. Sean brought it up yesterday with New Jersey in 95 and the left wing lock. Most people just use it as a phrase and move on. They don't study it and say, this is what the left wing lock is. All right?
It's actually brilliant.
Okay.
I don't care what anybody says. It's brilliant.
And by the way, it's the same thing in football. We used to work with a good friend of ours who used to say, I would just play cover 3. Open the mic. What's cover 3? Oops. I don't know. Don't throw out crap that you don't necessarily know. So I'm asking you, is it players? Is it coaching? Is it system?
It is personnel on the defense corps. There's no question about it. They don't. Okay, nobody wants to hear this. Nobody wants to hear this. Shep, you've probably heard me say this 10,000 times, and I think you agree. You can tell me otherwise. If we take the time to listen to a general manager, more often than not, they'll give you the answer you're looking for. It may not be what you want to hear, but they'll give you the answer that you're looking for. And when Steve Yzerman sat there, 4.5 years ago, and said, guys, this isn't going to be easy. Guys, this is going to be ups and downs, okay? April 19th, 2019, okay? Now, these are my words, not his. There's a reason the term 5-year plan exists, okay? There's a reason that term exists. And I think if you talk to somebody privately within this franchise in the past few years, they would privately tell you, Shep, you're doing a game, you're covering a game, whatever the case may be. Shep does a great job at Bally. Okay, somebody says to you, Shep, we're only 2.5 years in. You know that, right? Okay? And I'm not saying that somebody said that to you.
Yeah.
This was a 5-year plan, okay? So the last couple of years, people saying, are the Red Wings ready? Are the Red Wings ready? No, they're not ready. They're not ready. And they're not ready now. They aren't. Even when they were playing well a month ago. If you talk to me, ooh, this looks pretty good. Shep, they're not ready. The goal wasn't just to get to number 8. The goal wasn't to get to, golly gee, we're back in the playoffs, and now we get to get smoked by the number 2 Bruins or the number 1 Rangers, whatever the case may be. The goal was to get this franchise back to the type of success that we saw during Steve's regime and the type of success, the long-term success that we've seen the Lightning have. I mean, that's built in his image, so to speak, and I don't mean that disrespectfully. So right now, they don't have the personnel on the blue line. The one thing that they are doing, and if you go back to what made Tampa initially successful, is he is using guys to fill in the blank until his guy is ready in net. And what I mean by that is this. So you remember Dwayne Rollison?
Sure.
Dwayne Rollison kind of came in. Everybody thought he was on his last leg. Well, golly gee, Steve took him and wrung out every little drop that he had, and he gave them some success. And then they moved on to Ben Bishop, who was kind of a cast-off at other places. Ben Bishop, as well as...
This is in Tampa, by the way.
Yes, in Tampa. Right. Ben Bishop, as well as he played, was not going to be the guy. He just wasn't. He wasn't going to be the guy. So he waited until he got the guy. And the guy came in the form of arguably, you could say, the best goaltender in the league for a few years running. Although, you know, that is up for debate now. So I think when everything comes together, and I
You're
quite
referring
frankly,
to Vasilevsky.
yes.
Yeah.
Quite frankly, I don't even think it's going to be next year, to be honest with you. That's one man's opinion. But when this all comes together, I think you're going to see it formulate itself in the form, whether it be Sebastian, whether it be Trey, you know, whoever that guy is. Right now, I mean, I think if you're a hockey fan and you're watching this team right now, that blue line isn't good. That it just isn't good. You know, there are pieces that you like and pieces that can, you know, ascend. I still think, and I know he's been getting heat from a lot of people, Jeff Petrie, especially at the price that they got him, was a good price.
Yeah.
Okay? But you have to understand what he is at this point in time, okay? He's not the guy that he was even a couple years ago that was huge in the Habs' crazy run to the Stanley Cup Finals.
No, I don't think anybody thinks that.
Oh, I think fans do.
Well,
I really
maybe.
do. I think fans do.
Maybe
I
you
do.
probably have a better pulse on that than I do. That might be the case, and it's only because of name. Mm-hmm. But if you're truly evaluating it, so there's a couple of things that I wrote down. Florida proved as an 8 seed last year you could reach the Stanley Cup Finals, but they're built differently, right?
1,000%.
All right. When you say Trey, you mean Augustine, the guy we were talking about in the World Juniors. And when you're talking about Sebastian, you're talking about Kosa, who's now in Grand Rapids.
Sorry, I get on a roll, and sometimes I don't fill in the blanks.
That's okay. That's okay. I just want clarification so people can follow along. But here's the thing. When you say that they're not built for now, when you bring in guys like... When you have guys like Andrew Kopp, and I'm not saying these guys are the equivalent to Steven Stamkos. I'm not saying they're the equivalent to Connor McDavid. I just think they're good players. When you have Andrew Kopp, when you have Robbie Fabry, when you have JT Comfer, David Perron, obviously Dylan Larkin, Lucas Raymond, Michael Rasmussen, who's come into his own. You add a Patrick Kane. Mo Seider is such a solid player on the defensive side. I think those are built. Veleno is a former first-round pick, but he's a complementary player. He's not a great player. He's not going to be an all-star. He's a complementary player. And then they've added some other guys. DeBrincat, of course. I mean, that was a massive signing. I love it too. Not just because he's from Farmington Hills, but because he's what they needed. Right. They've got the scoring, right, for the most part. I know it's been weak over the last 5 or 6 games. They've got the scoring. Where has been the defensive progress? And why is it stagnated?
No, you're absolutely right. Can I go back to something you just said, though? Yeah, because I think Florida is a great example of what I'm... Florida was an 8 seed in name only. There were a lot of different things that went into them finishing where they went into. Don't forget the year before, that they were a wagon. That was the team, if you remember, they're going to end Tampa's run, okay? And clearly, Florida wasn't ready for prime time yet. They weren't. And if you remember, Tampa ended up smoking them. And, you know, so Florida went down to take the step back up, you know, which we've seen many times. I look at the Red Wings, Shep, to that point, 95, 96, okay? You go to the Stanley Cup Finals. You have that crazy series against Colorado. people tend to forget the 96, 97 Wings were mad. They were. They weren't. Lord knows they weren't bad during the regular season, okay? Mm-hmm. That wasn't a wagon, so to speak. But by golly, once things got going, and they went down in that series against Blues, if you remember, and then all of a sudden, Yzerman's speech, and he'll downplay it. But all of a sudden, my gosh, by the end of the playoff, they were clearly the best team out there and conversely won the Stanley Cup. So I think the Red Wings right now, there are two problems. I mean, we talked about the defensive issues, and I don't think there's a human being out there that could deny that. What are the Red Wings right now? What is their identity?
Offense.
Yep. You think that's their?
I do. I mean, I don't think it's elite. Don't get me wrong, but I do believe people look at it and they see them more of an offensive team than a defensive team, and a lot of it has to do with the struggles they've had in net.
And I think, unfortunately, especially when things tighten up in the playoff, we all know things tighten up.
Yeah.
That is a clear recipe for failure.
For sure.
No doubt about it.
Much rather have a better defensive team than offensive team, but you have to score goals to get to where you want to go.
No question about it. But when things get tighter, and all of a sudden you can't deal with that mistake, because that mistake is the difference between you falling down 3-1 in a series and tying the series up at 2 games apiece. Mm-hmm. I don't think that they have the sandpaper, and I don't think they have the defensive prowess
sandpaper
in any way, shape, or form to become, that team that's ready to take that step. And in fairness, you know what? I don't want to sit here and disrespect Alex Lyon. Alex Lyon was exactly what Steve Yzerman has done in the past. He's a guy that's kind of been a cast-off that was just waiting for that right opportunity to get in that right spot. My man was playing really well, okay? And it's not like, oh, cute little Alex Lyon, let's pinch his cheeks or anything. So it's unfortunate he goes down with injury, and subsequently I don't think there's any, coincidence that these latest issues have been while he's been out. But Shep, to your point, and we saw it last night, they're a hard watch.
Yeah.
When you're seeing what they're dealing with, A, in net, and B, their defense core as a whole, they're a hard watch. But I watched it.
Yeah, for sure. I just think it's very unique right now, where this is a team that has yet to win a game scoring less than 4 goals.
It's incredible.
That tells you something.
It really
right?
is.
When you have to outscore a team every single night on ice, it's a dangerous recipe.
It's not a winning formula in today's league. It just isn't.
Yeah.
It's not.
This is, I think what happens sometimes, we get so wrapped up in seedings in hockey, and we equate it to basketball. And nothing could be further than the truth.
I couldn't agree with you more.
Basketball, you're not finding. I think there's 2 8 seeds all time. Could be wrong here, Pete. You can tell me if I'm wrong.
Gotcha.
B, you can tell me if I'm wrong. I think there's 2 8 seeds who have ever made the finals. I don't think they've ever won a finals. Okay? Usually, you got to be a 1, you got to be a 2, you got to be a 3. Hockey, it's different, man. It's different. It can flip because one guy, I say this all the time, there's 3 sports where one guy is the difference maker. It's a quarterback, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yep. It's a pitcher, starting pitcher, and it's a goalie.
It's a goalie.
In basketball, you need 2 or 3 guys. Hockey, I'm not saying they can win it all for you, but you give me that guy in net, he can steal you a series, right?
Oh, there's no doubt about it.
Basketball, that's tough to do with one guy. Okay, B, you think I think Luka Doncic is as good an offensive player in the NBA as there is. Dallas isn't winning it. They're not winning it. I'm sorry. You need more than, and I know he has complementary players. I'm just saying, you need more than that, right? You can find a really good goalie, you're in pretty good shape. Yeah. At least a building block.
I'm going to bring up, and I'm going to use the Habs as an example. When they made that crazy.
Shocking. The Habs? You sure you want to go there?
When they made that crazy run to the finals a couple years ago, right? I made the joke, Carey Price got out of bed one morning, and he fell and he bumped his head. And when he woke up, somebody told him it was 2015, right? Because all of a sudden, Carey Price is like, well, shit, I'm the best goalie in the world again. That guy didn't exist for a few years. And so Everybody in the locker room said, listen, guys, tell Carey Price it's 2015. And he played like it was 2015. And Shea Weber, same thing.
Yeah.
Somebody said to Shea, hey, Shea, you know that leg, that bum wheel you got? You're fine, dude. The doctor gave him a clean bill of health. And so you put that all together, and crazy, they make this run all the way to the Stanley Cup Finals. Now, there was no way in Hades that they were going to beat Tampa that year. It wasn't going to happen. No way in Hades. But, Shep, to your point, you've seen teams do that. And that, you brought up Florida earlier. Let me come back to Florida. Florida wasn't going to win that series against Vegas last year. All you had to do, in my mind, like, honestly, sometimes you can watch a series no matter if it's 1-1 or 2. You can watch a series and you're like, well, shit, it's just a question of how many games Vegas is going to
but nobody thought they would be Boston either. So why would you think that they couldn't beat Vegas if they've already defeated Boston, who was the best regular season team in the history of the league?
Well, because they had Tim Duncan in net. And when things got dark, all of a sudden you saw him go like this and everything. When the games got close. Sorry, Shep. That's an old bit. Trust me. That's Tim Duncan, the greatest player in the history of the NBA.
I never
Minute
said
1
that.
through 46. But you get that guy in the last 2 minutes and his eyes go, Timmy. He's like a deer in headlights. Timmy. Sorry, this is like,
it's unbelievable.
I'm going 15 years ago. Sorry, Shep.
The memory's incredible.
No, but listen, like, seriously, you saw their goaltender go like this, and Florida smelled it, and they started buzzing, and they got those late goals and everything. Vegas came out with those 4 lines, and by the time that series started, Brady Tkachuk had given Matthew Tkachuk had get their one in the same.
Yeah.
Matthew Tkachuk had given every little bit of energy. That guy was dead.
Plus, he was hurt.
And what we didn't know at the time is he played with a broken esophagus and his femur was sticking out one way. But I'll take both of those guys any day of the week. But honestly, Shep, you saw that. Vegas just kept rolling.
Yeah.
One line after another.
Yeah.
Just kept pounding. You're like, well, it was a cute little run for Florida, but it's over. Yeah. You know, and that was unfortunate.
I felt the same way about Seattle. I think Seattle was a 7 seed a year ago. They were fun to watch. Yeah. They had speed. They had decent depth, right? It was kind of exciting in that regard. And that's what I thought when the Red Wings started the year. I thought, you know what? This is a team that's got some depth. I'm not saying that they were Stanley Cup contenders, but they had depth. But it shows you how fragile you can be if you don't have the right ingredients at the right spot. You've got to have a solid defense, and that guy in net is vital.
Yeah, that's true. Big time. By the way, can we say something? I hope I don't embarrass him. It's Pete Spivak's birthday.
Hey, all right.
Happy birthday, Pete.
Thank you, boys. 49 and old.
And you're working.
Yeah, why not? Dedication to the craft.
Well done.
Come on,
49
babies.
was so many years ago now.
Stop it.
Just so many damn years ago.
Old dad joke inserted. Get on with the read, will you?
What am I reading about?
Well, no, that's you toss it to me.
Oh, the birthday boy, Pete Spivak.
That's right, baby. Well, if you have if you have a femur sticking out or a broken esophagus, you may want to go to Dispo and get yourself some cannabis to help with the pain. They have the best oils, the best flowers. They're located in Romeo and Hazel Park. Braylon Edwards' favorite place. You got to go there. Again, Dispo in Romeo and Hazel Park. Get the cannabis, the flowers, the oils, anything you need, and they will take good care of you. We'll be back with more of Ermanni and Edwards after the break.
We've just received word. The world's cannabis supply has vanished. The public is outraged and has taken to the streets in response to this tragedy. The individual responsible acted alone, and we can only hope they will make things right soon.
Brace yourselves, Detroit. As the sun begins to set, 2 of Woodward Sports' brightest young stars will be taking the mic for a brand new show. Woodward Nights with Booner and Broder. The dog days in Detroit are over, and the boys are unleashed. Join in on the banter and hop on the bandwagon of the #1 night show on the internet. Tune in to the Woodward Woodward Sports YouTube channel every weeknight from 8 to 10 p.m. Woodward Nights with Booner and Broder.
Your home is your most important asset. Flexibility in the sales process is key. When you work with Mark White & Associates, you can cancel at any time, for any reason, without penalty. Speaking of flexibility, check this out. Who you work with matters. Hire the best broker in the game.
Hey, did you know for over 60 years, Fairway Packing Company has provided Michigan's finest restaurants, hotels, and casinos with prime beef, Wagyu beef, and dry aged beef?
Where's mine?
Come over to my house. I can cook up for you. Experience the Fairway difference for yourself today. Visit the steak shop in Grosse Pointe Woods and grab and go steaks, or order online at fairwaypacking.com. It's that easy. Fairwaypacking.com. That was awesome, Shep. Can we talk more hockey?
As long as you throw more meat in there like that.
All right.
By the way, real quick, I want to get to be about some of the latest Lions news, but the Athletic has come out with the top hockey teams in the salary cap era of the NHL. Mm-hmm. The number one team.
Can I guess?
Go.
0708 Wings.
Correct.
That was a wagon.
Wow. That's number one.
That was a
Beautiful
wagon.
team.
And that's not just local stuff, all right? I mean, those are the national writers. Colorado 2022 is right behind. Yeah. But that's a good read if people, I'm not trying to sell that publication. I'm just saying that's a pretty good read if you want to talk a little bit more about the Red Wings.
No, I love that stuff. And you know what? I think when you look at both those teams, especially now, you need that guy on your blue line that can move the puck.
Oh, yeah.
And that was my issue. And listen, I was biased because I did his games. Quinn Hughes should be wearing a Detroit Red Wing jersey.
No doubt.
That was, I said it then. I'll say it now.
Instead of,
I don't really have to say it now.
Who was it? Who?
Zadina.
Zadina, right?
Fucking
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't, like, for the life of me, I was like,
What was the reasoning behind not drafting him?
I think because
Size?
Zadina talked so much shit and he was going to fill Ottawa and Montreal's nets with goals and all. I don't know, but
There's no way management looks at that and says,
of course not.
So,
I don't know what the reasoning was. One man's opinion. I think if Steve Yzerman was the general manager,
it'd be different.
I think it would have been different.
One
Quinn
man's opinion
Hughes is
here,
exactly what the
this
NHL
team-
is today.
Agreed. One man's opinion, I think it was size, and I think it was the fact that this team lacked offense.
It's stupid.
Agreed.
The size argument is stupid anymore.
Except for in net.
Can I bring?
Except for in
He's
net.
getting me. B, I know we're going to go to you, but you know what he's doing?
I mean,
this is like the old days. Shep's getting me all pissed off.
Otherwise,
payback.
you draft Jeff Lurg.
His
Go ahead.
payback for the Michael Jordan stuff
okay,
yesterday.
like the size argument is so stupid. All right, you got old guys like us, all right? Pete, you're not quite there yet. We'll talk in a year.
49's old
Okay,
enough.
but how many times...
B's not even close.
How many times do old people sit back
Right.
and pontificate about how soft the league is today?
Right.
We grew up in the 80s and the Bruise Brothers and Ty Domi and...
I want the second coming of Larry Robinson.
Soft, so soft. Okay, then out of the other side of their mouth, and I got pissed off this summer when people were doing that. You bring in a guy like Alex DeBrincat, right? Okay, he's too small. Make up your freaking mind.
Right.
Is the league soft or is it not?
You have hat hair.
I need a haircut.
Time to go to Lady Jane's
Yeah,
right
Lady
over there.
Jane's read. Okay, no, but seriously, is the league soft or isn't it? And if the league is soft, if we're going to establish that the league is soft today, is it possible that a guy like Alex DeBrincat, that a guy like Quinn Hughes, that a guy like Cole Caulfield might just have a place in the game today?
Yeah, I don't think it's soft. I don't think it's quite as physical, but I think that's not because of players. I think that's because of the way it's
The
legislated.
game has changed. The
That's
way
okay.
it's legislated. And you know what?
The NFL has changed. Baseball has changed.
I like the NHL today.
I know, so do I.
I do.
I do not like some of the things that have taken place where it's been legislated to take the physicality out, and then you are questioned on why a guy hits Dylan Larkin gets 2 minutes, David Perron then gets 6 games. I think there's a lot of hypocrisy going on
I'm
in the
going to
league.
go all Don Cherry on you, right?
No, I'm serious. I think so. I think that's the case.
I'm not going to argue with you.
So, but I agree with you with Quinn Hughes.
Let the boys police themselves.
Right.
Part
Yeah,
Shep.
that's what they should be
Shep,
doing.
old boy, up here telling the truth. All right, Shep. Good kid from Kingston. You're absolutely right. You should look at.
I'm from Regina, by the way.
If you're gonna play the role, if you're gonna play the part,
Man.
let the boys police themselves.
No doubt.
You'd take so much shit out of the game. You
Yeah.
would. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. You
Yeah.
would.
No,
Let
I
the
agree.
boys police them.
100%.
I'm not saying go back to bench clearing brawls, and I get it. Like, we've moved on. Let the boys police themselves a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
All the liberties that are taken, you guys gonna think twice. You know, Spivak's gonna take a shot at B. I'm gonna
You're done,
tell
B.
Pete. Like I'm gonna be a man. I'm gonna tell Pete. Pete, it might not be today. It might not be the next game. You and I are gonna have a conversation very soon.
Right. Let's do it
It
all.
might be 3 games from now, right? But
And they have that conversation on the ice. That's the beauty of it. I mean, Darren McCarty, who does his show on a regular basis here on Woodward Sports, can speak to that firsthand. It's just very interesting. But you're right. Look, every team. I think every team in every organization, you can look back and say, why did we draft this guy instead of? But that's the perfect example right there. They need a puck-moving defenseman
the league
who's
today.
still responsible. Their issue is, the reason we talk about size is because we see how good Zdeno Chara is. We see how good Victor Hedman is. Those are the guys you want next, all right? And we forget there's really good players like Nick Lidstrom wasn't a huge man. He was just great. Arguably the greatest defenseman who ever put on skates.
I'm glad that you brought that up because, you know, a lot of people out there are getting antsy about the Yzer plan, and I don't think it's the smart thing to do personally.
Get antsy or the Yzer
Get
plan?
antsy about the Yzerman plan. I just don't think that's a smart move to do. I'm fully in on what he's trying to do. And a lot of people look back and point to Tampa. Well, it happened quicker with Tampa, okay? Think about the starting point. What general manager wouldn't like to walk into a situation? And I'm not taking anything away from Steve Yzerman here.
Yeah, I know.
But you brought up both those names. Mm-hmm. You have a not quite ready for primetime Steven Stamkos, who, trust me when I say this, I saw that kid in junior. No doubt in my mind he was going to be a stud. None, zero, zilch, okay? And you had Victor Hedman. Right. When he came here, he didn't have anything resembling those pieces, okay? So I think it's very unfair to compare the time it took him to get to Tampa where they eventually got and the time it's taken the Wings to get to the point that he will get them to. There's no doubt in my mind.
Well, you said it earlier in the show. You said, look, Steve Yzerman, when he got here, in so many words, said, this is going to take a while.
He did.
It's painful. You and I were doing shows sometimes together where we're like, people are like, I'm so sick and tired of the playoff streak, 25 straight years. They need to tear it down and start all over again. And what did we say? You and I both used to tell people, be careful what you wish for. Because at least if you get in the playoffs, you got a shot. You may not think they're the Stanley Cup champs, but at least you got a shot. Or at least if you're going to get there, you can make a move to improve yourself. If you want to tear it down, if you want to rebuild, rebuilds are hard. They are long, they are difficult, they are emotionally draining, and by the way, sometimes they take longer than you thought, i.e. Detroit Pistons basketball.
I got killed for this a few years ago. I don't know if you and I ever had this conversation.
Glad you rose from the dead. Go ahead.
Pavel Datsyuk,
Yeah.
I would have kissed him goodbye.
Yeah.
Okay, do you really want to get better? Do you want to get better?
Right.
Then don't lock up a guy at his age to the
Right.
contract that you locked him up.
Fair enough.
Okay, but fans don't want to do that.
That's because it's emotional.
What are we talking? You're a moron. You want to let go of Pavel Datsyuk all the time, right?
It's not that you didn't like him
Do
or appreciate him.
you want to be better than golly gee, we just got in the playoffs? And then you have to understand that there's going to be some hard years coming up. Mm-hmm. And signing him, as great as he was at that point in time, to that contract was furthering the anchor, putting more weight on it, and taking you deeper into the depths of holy crap, this is going to be a painful rebuild.
Right. See, we're so emotional. I'm emotional too about certain players. There's a few things we want our great players. Yeah, to me, we want our great players to be ours all the time.
Yep.
Forever. All right. And then the other thing is, we want them to get rewarded for what they've done when really the contract should be for what they are about to do.
100%.
And
it's an investment.
Right. So Miguel Cabrera is a really good example of that. All right. Justin Verlander. I mean, those are examples right now where you're like, oh man, how many people, when Cabrera was mightily struggling, and look, last year he hit the ball pretty well. Right? He didn't hit the ball with power. Not many guys do at age 40. But how many people back when he first signed, like, oh, he's going to be a Tiger for life. That's great. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad they did this at this time, right? Not thinking that, you know what, in 5-6 years, that's a problem, right? And that's the hard thing about running any franchise, is to have the outlook to say, what will this mean to my team at that point? Guys who are that old, they've got plenty of money. Pablo Datsyuk, Miguel Cabrera, guys at that old, that age, they shouldn't be signing 10-year deals.
I couldn't agree with you more.
It's ridiculous.
Shep, you know what's interesting is
like Bryce Harper, I get it. You want to sign that guy to a long-term deal, a 10-year deal? I get it. I really do. But they're talking about re-signing him, redoing his contract. I wouldn't. And he's one of my favorite players.
Shep, I want a general manager. And remember when this was coming up, you brought up Cabrera. I want a general manager who's not afraid to pick up the phone if somebody calls. Okay.
Oh, I think they do.
No, but you know what I mean.
I want them to listen.
1,000%. I want that guy.
Yeah.
You're nuts if you. What are you talking about dealing Miguel Cabrera?
Right.
What, guys? Now, did we think it would go to the level that it went? No. But obviously, we all knew that there was going to be diminishing return.
Yeah.
When the bottom drops out, the bottom drops out, man, and it usually doesn't come back. I'll stick with hockey. Okay. You watch Alex Ovechkin. Alex Ovechkin is not going to break Wayne Gretzky's record.
No.
If you've watched Alex Ovechkin this year, man, 2 months ago it was a given. It's a question of when he's going to do it. You know what? Father Time's unbeaten.
Right.
He's unbeaten, man, and he is not going to get those goals. So when the diminishing returns come in, well, then what are you stuck with?
Yeah.
So that's when guys like us can sit back and play devil's advocate and go, what might have you been able to get for Miguel Cabrera in 2014? Mm-hmm. Really? What could you have gotten?
Good point.
Shep, you're pretty good at this. You're making me think a lot today. I like that.
Hey, guys, real quick before we go to break, can I throw one in? You were talking about the toughness of the NHL. If I got this story correctly, this is one of my favorite photos. Gump Worsley passed out after taking a puck to the head. He sits out the second period and came back the third period with a welt on his head. He had a couple beers in the second period and got him. That's toughness. That's the hockey I miss.
Ginger ales, Pete. Nothing wrong with that.
Do you guys remember that was a great Don Cherry rant? You remember when Stevens caught Kozlov in the '95 finals? Do you remember that, Shep? He caught Kozlov in the '95 finals, and so they go to Coach's Corner. And there's the picture of Kozlov, like, laid out and everything. And, you know.
Oh, and Scott Stevenson is the blue line?
Yeah. And, you know, Grapes goes, oh, look at here. Jesus, laid on the cross. How can you not laugh at that? How can you not? Look at him. And then he starts mocking him and everything. It's a different league today, man. There's no doubt about that.
It is indeed.
All right, what do we read?
We got Big Boy. Ready? You guys hungry?
Yes.
Well, guess what? It is wintertime in Detroit, and wintertime in Detroit is always better with comfort foods from Big Boy. Try the veal parmesan there, Shep, or the new Southern Comfort Chicken Bowl there, Sean. How about breakfast? The stuffed potato pancakes are back. The classic lumberjack or the Santa Fe Garde. Also, new apple pie hotcakes. That's there, too. They're all too good to miss. Top it off with the new gingerbread shake for dessert. Stop by your local Big Boy today.
Where's the most convenient place to get that big fitness energy?
It's Planet Fitness.
Join today for just $1 down, $10 a month. With over 2,400 locations and equipment for every workout, you can get in, get energized, and get going. And with free fitness training and most clubs open 24 hours, everyone belongs in the judgment-free zone. So join today for $1 down, $10 a month, no commitment, cancel anytime. Deal ends Wednesday, September 13th.
Join now at any Metro Detroit location. Hurry, offer ends soon.
Ever wondered where all the finest restaurants get their steaks? It's Fairway Packing Company, providing Michigan restaurants, hotels, and casinos with prime beef for over 60 years. But now you can buy these cuts of meat for yourself at the Steak Shop by Fairway Packing Company. Prime porterhouse, A5 Japanese New York strip steak, dry aged Wagyu beef tomahawk. Delicious. Get to the Steak Shop today. Enjoy fine wine, have a private party, and get the finest cuts of meat anywhere. The Steak Shop on Mack Avenue in Grosse Pointe Woods, or order online fairwaypacking.com.
Join Woodward Sports' own Jeff Iafrate along with special WSN guests for the most anticipated Lions season in decades. Filled with different surprises and expert analysis. You're not going to want to miss out. Go to our Woodward Sports YouTube channel on Sundays and tune in live from 9:30 to 11:30 a.m.
Well, RIP to the same old Lions. It's now BNL time, brand new Lions. Big thanks to Sheila, Brad, and Dan for putting them to rest. And guess what else has found the grave? Same old rock, paper, scissors. Jack Labrador. Labrador has revolutionized that tired game with 2 new symbols and a franchise-changing 3-point play. Discover the action at jacklabrador.gg now and find out why, once you go Jack, you'll never go back. And speaking of back, now back to Sean and Shep on the Ermanni and Edwards with Maz show.
Hi.
Anyone?
How you doing? I didn't know, Shep, are you driving? Am I driving? Or are we just having conversation? Whatever you want to do today.
I thought we were playing some type of soundbite coming back. I got lost in research.
Shep and I are playing Words with Friends. You kind of caught us right in the middle of that. No, B, I know you've been sitting there waiting to tell us something, so the floor is yours, sir.
Yeah. Listen, Detroit Lions fans, it looks like the Lions are getting that much more healthy. James Houston is back, and that starts his 21-day practice window. That means that the Lions have 21 days to either add him to the active roster or put him back on season-ending IR on the injured reserve list. I think that this is awesome news. Mm-hmm. You talk about Aiden Hutchinson, who all year we've talked about the fact that he's needed somebody on that line to be able to help kind of free him up. So, you think about the numbers he got last year and the production he had last year. Well, he also had James Houston with him. And I'm hoping if they do activate James Houston, looks like that they're going to wind up doing that they just allow him to pass rush. I know that they were experimenting, kind of moving him around, dropping him back into coverage. Just let that man pass rush and get after the quarterback. He gets off the line quick. He gets in the backfield fast. And he's just a nasty, nasty defender.
I agree with you.
I'm excited.
I'm not calling my shot here. But I'm sure you guys will all remember that when the Giants won the Super Bowl in 2011, they kind of meandered their way through the season. They went 9-7, but something changed when the playoffs started. All of a sudden, they got healthy on their defensive line, and they got after the quarterback. And I mean, it was all the difference in the world, and that, in my mind, is what catapulted them to a Super Bowl. I'm not sitting here calling my shot, Shep, and saying that, James Houston is the difference between the Lions winning a Super Bowl. But, man, the NFL today is pretty simple in this regard. There's 2 things that need to happen. It's what can your quarterback do to the opposition, and can you get after the opposition's quarterback? Mm-hmm. That's the National Football League today. It really, whether we can get all geeky and talk about schemes and all. What can your quarterback do to the opposition, and can you get after the quarterback on the opposition? And a guy like that, Shep, I think helps the Lions get after the opposition's quarterback.
Yeah, he's a young guy. What is he, 25? He had a broken leg, right? Was that the injury? Yeah, broken ankle. Fibula?
Yep.
Right? Yeah. So having that type of situation, you have to be very careful. But youthful, it's going to take a while. I don't care what anybody says. He doesn't come back and just start tearing things up, I don't believe. I think this league, you got to give this league a little bit more credit than that. But there's no question that's what this team has missed all along. Are they weak on the defensive side of the ball in certain situations? Yes. But pass rushing can make up for a lot of things. So it's just like we were talking about earlier with the goaltending. If you can get after the quarterback and make them uncomfortable, and personally, I would prefer a rush from the middle. Okay, I want, depending on the quarterback, right? I mean, obviously you don't want Patrick Mahomes running outside, but if you got outside containment, if you get a rush, if you can get a push up the middle, the quarterbacks will tell you, it's one thing coming from the edge, they can step up.
Yeah.
But if you're coming in their face and it affects your eyesight, I don't care who you are, you're dropping back to pass, you're going to look for a moment. Okay, the middle of the pass rush, I think, is just as vital as the edge. I think that's why they move Hutchinson around. So if they wanted to move James Houston around, I wouldn't mind that. Anywhere he can get to the quarterback is fine by me. I'm not going to designate him on one edge or another. I want to move some of my best defensive players around and make it cumbersome for the quarterback and, quite honestly, the offensive line. Look, that's the big reason why I'll watch football with friends and I'll sit there and go, this is what I want to see. I like to call plays as the game's going on. I want bunch formation. I want stack formation. This whole spread out stuff, you give your defensive secondary so much more room to figure out who's got who. If we got bunch and we got stack, you're asking, you can run different formations off that. It's a problem. It's the same thing of the defensive line. If James Houston is stunting or if he's starting in the middle and sometimes he's on the edge, you're causing all kinds of confusion. If he's that athletic and we know he is, I'm all for moving him inside once in a while.
You know what the best way to fix an iffy secondary is? Get after the quarterback.
Right.
I mean, it's not really, honestly, it's amazing what a good, solid pass rush can do. If you're getting after the quarterback and you're pressuring him in the ways that you just spoke, my goodness gracious, that makes everybody better. And all of a sudden, you saw it the other day in the Minnesota game, right?
Right.
Those guys were waiting on a couple of his throws. They were. Oh baby, I see. You see the eyes getting wide like Timmy. I mean, honestly, they were just waiting to jump that route because he was selling where he was going to go. So, that's it. Oh, that could be huge, man. That could be huge.
Yeah.
Let's
think about this. If they play the Rams, do you want quarterback pressure from the edge or up the middle with Matthew Stafford?
up the middle.
Up the middle.
For sure.
Up the middle.
If they play Seattle. Look, Geno Smith can get outside a little bit better than Matthew Stafford. I still want it up the middle. I mean, that's the whole point, right? I mean, and I think that was, going back to our conversation yesterday, that's a reason many people wanted Jalen Carter. I didn't necessarily want him, but that's the reason people wanted him, and I can appreciate that. Now, we bring up another quarterback, Dak Prescott. Okay, there's a belief that Dallas is going to extend him, right? I mean, those are reports. I think it's $160 million. Is that what it is?
I think so.
4
Let
years,
me double check.
4 years, $160 million. Do you think that puts any pressure on the Lions to do anything with Jared Goff?
Ooh, that's a good question.
That's a great question, Shep. I didn't even think about that.
And just for people's knowledge, I believe Goff's contract is up after next season.
Yeah. But
Next
you know
season,
as well as I do. There's talk about getting it done sooner rather than later.
Sure.
I think one of the funniest things to me in recent years has been the highest paid quarterback, because it's going to change every few months. Yeah. Remember the outcry from Matthew Stafford, and you told everybody. For me, it was like, okay, if I'm Matthew, let me play Matthew Stafford's agent for a second. First of all, I wouldn't be sitting here with you people, but that's the first thing. But now that we got that out of the way, all right.
Thanks a lot, man.
I'm waiting for Derek Carr. What is Derek Carr going to get? Okay, and if you remember, that's how it went.
Yeah.
And when we saw,
you're talking about back then.
Back then,
not now. Yeah,
so when I saw what Derek Carr got, I can walk into the office and go,
right?
Are you serious here?
Yeah.
Look, Derek Carr, There's no way on God's green earth you can compare my client with Derek Carr.
In other words, you don't want to set the standard.
No.
Let someone else set the standard, and then you climb over
Listen, you could be the biggest golf guy out there.
Yeah.
Okay? You have to understand why the questions exist. Okay? Can we say that?
Sure.
And I don't think that's being unfair because let me say it again. I was wrong about Jared Goff. I didn't think this was going to happen. It did. Okay? Tip of the cap, period, end of story. But now we're talking something different. Okay? This is, you're going to extend him. But are you going to extend him at the detriment of the rest of the roster that we know isn't completed yet? We know it's not completed yet. For the reasons that you gave, Shep, and some of the smart things that they did, letting Hawkinson go get that bag someplace else and getting a better version of Hawkinson and cheaper. So do you do that?
That's a different example with quarterback. You can start over with tight ends. Starting over with quarterbacks is much more challenging.
Would I do it? No, I wouldn't. I would say let the market dictate what the market dictates, and I'm going to roll my dice and see what happens. I think that Jared Goff is in a position this year where he can perhaps dictate what the Lions might do. That story isn't written yet. I mean, because if he finishes the season, they win a couple games, okay? We have to have that conversation, regardless of your feelings of Jared Goff or not. Or are you
he's
ready?
Still under contract next year.
Are you ready to turn the page and say let the Hendon Hooker era begin shortly thereafter? When all of a sudden that window that you know is open, you're a step closer to being really, really legitimate. By the way, all the crap about Hooker's age drives me nuts. Maybe we can talk about that.
Yeah, but
sometime.
yesterday you and I were talking about how the window is open for an extended period of time because of the offensive line. If that offensive line stays intact, or you get someone, we know Taylor Decker's getting a little bit older, but I think he's a really good player. If you wanted to move Sewell to left tackle and draft a right tackle eventually, I'm okay with that. I believe you got to have strong guards too. Then why don't you think Hendon Hooker could easily adapt as a third-round pick, similar to the way Jalen Hurts adapted in Philadelphia?
Well, I can't answer that question, and nor can you. This is where you have to trust your coaches. You have to trust your talent evaluators. I don't know where Hendon Hooker's at right now.
Something you and I never would have said.
No, I don't.
This organization years ago.
I don't know where he's at right now. So I'm not trying to skirt out of your question.
No, I know you're not.
I hope you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, I do.
If they sit back and go, okay, this guy has been everything that we asked for and then some, go with it. I trust this franchise right now across the board. There's no reason not to. Okay, so I can't answer that. If the Hendon Hooker that I saw at Tennessee, who quite frankly, I can talk about it, it's past tense. If he didn't get hurt, he was my Heisman voter. Period. And that was my vote. That's the guy I was going to vote for. Period. End of story. Obviously, he got hurt, and that changed things. If that's the guy that you're seeing, especially with the protection and the weapons around him, well, then, yeah, absolutely, you pass the reins. And then it turns out all the people like me were right, that he was nothing more than a bridge.
Yeah, Jared Goff is, what, 28?
28.
Okay, so he's 28. He will be the free agent in his age 30 season.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to answer the question necessarily just on whether or not you extend him, but you have to answer. It's a two-part question, or it's a two-part answer. How long would you extend him for?
3 years.
Huh?
3 years.
Okay. I don't know. I don't know if many quarterbacks would do that. I don't know how many agents would be willing to do that. I'd probably be more inclined to go the franchise tag route than I would anything else. The highest paid quarterback right now is Lamar Jackson. Right?
Yeah.
He's at like $52 million.
And to answer your question, by the way, about Dak, it's either $55 or $60 million per season for his extension. They're going to pay more.
See, but we shouldn't count that. It's Jerry Jones. I mean, I'm not being funny.
Cap stuff.
No, I know, but I'm not being funny when I say that. I mean, we all take our shots at. This happens every couple years with Dallas, where I got to pay this guy, I got to pay that guy, and then he lets that guy go, and he hits that guy go, and he lets that guy go, and then Dallas loses in the playoffs and flames out.
Right.
And if I'm an agent, I love Jerry Jones. Jerry,
Sure.
you go sign everybody you want because that means good things for my clients.
Yes, no question. But based on average annual value, Sport Track has Lamar Jackson, number 1, he's at $52 million. Jalen Hurts at $51 million. Aaron Rodgers at just under $51 million. Russell Wilson, Kyler Murray, Deshaun Watson, then Patrick Mahomes. Now think about that.
Right. Where does Goff fit in there? You got to pay him.
Lamar Jackson, MVP, really good player. Don't get me wrong. Aaron Rodgers, we know past his prime, has a Super Bowl. Russell Wilson, past his prime, has won the big game, right? It's interesting how much money is in the hands of these players and what do they have to show for it. For as important a position as it is, you're not. How many rings are we talking about
you're
here?
Absolutely right.
Mahomes has got 2 rings, and he's ranked 7th. Josh Allen is 8th, and I like him. I just don't know if I necessarily like him for $43 million.
Shep, I have to wonder aloud as we have this conversation. Okay, we have to realize that in the last couple of years there's been a resurgence of Jared Goff. That no matter how much people wanted to argue with me a couple of years ago, he was what he was, okay? And now, conversely, I have no choice to say he's had a resurgence. I wonder if we're too close to the situation, and I wonder if there is that attitude and that feeling about Jared Goff around the league. I don't know the answer to that.
I don't either.
But I really wonder if we've had an up-close and personal look at the resurgence of Jared Goff. And if you can't give the guy his credit by now, that's your fault. That's not his.
That is their fault, no doubt.
So with that being said, do you think that the teams around the league, that maybe they're sitting back and going, we got a couple years yet, okay? Kind of like the Lions in 2021.
Mm-hmm.
Whether anybody wanted to admit it or not, they were a couple years away. Do you think somebody's sitting there going right now,
Yeah.
in a couple years,
I'm getting Jared Goff, and that's the final piece.
Jared Goff, and that.
I don't think so, and I'll tell you why when we come back after this, 10 just before the hour.
That'll be Sean. Sean, you got the good old Guardian alarm, my friend.
He's an absolute pro. Okay? Do you know what it's like to work with a pro every day? It's a new year. So what you need to do is let the pros at Guardian Alarm offer you customized solutions from real experts. The professional technicians take the time to recommend security and automotion solutions specific to your needs. 24/7 professional monitoring. Call them anytime, day or night, and know that a Guardian team member will stay on the phone as long as needed. This is technology backed by people. Your safety and security deserves technology that's been proven to work and people who have been proven to care. They are all pros just like Shep. So what you need to do is call 1-800. That's 1-800.
Stay out.
1-800 Stay Out Guardian Alarm.
Stop searching for a vehicle and start finding one. Les Stanford Chevrolet Cadillac makes it easy. We harness the power of multiple dealerships and own the biggest selection of GM brands in the area to get you the car you need. With the Les Stanford Group, you'll have access to 4 different dealerships, providing you with more makes, more models, and more choices. We're connected to more than 1,000 vehicles, and with so many high-quality CPO vehicles available, you'll find new car quality at pre-owned prices. You can start and end your search at lesstanford.com today.
Now, coming to Woodward Sports, Woodward and Main Street, the Woodward Sports Network Detroit Lions show. Catch Gabrielle D. Phillips, Matt Broder, and Terry Foster for all the latest news on your Detroit Lions every week. Only on the Woodward Sports Network YouTube channel and woodwardsports.com.
Savor the heart of home at Big Boy with our all-new Down Home Comfort Dishes. Feast on home-style goodness with our Southern Comfort Chicken Bowl, veal parmigiana, and apple pie hotcakes. The Down Home delight doesn't stop there. Potato pancakes are back. Dive into the richness of our perfectly crafted potatoes with our classic potato pancakes and our stuffed potato pancakes. Top off your meal with our new gingerbread shake, a seamless blend of creamy vanilla and sweet gingerbread flavors. Nothing beats the comforting taste of Down Home cooking. Enjoy every bite, only at Big Boy.
Brace yourselves, Detroit. As the sun begins to set, 2 of Woodward Sports' brightest young stars will be taking the mic for a brand new show. Woodward Nights with Spooner and Broder. The dog days in Detroit are over, and the boys are unleashed. Join in on the banter and hop on the bandwagon of the #1 night show on the internet. Tune in to the Woodward Sports Sports YouTube channel every weeknight from 8 to 10 p.m. Woodward Nights with Booner and Broder.
What happens when you run a great business for over 60 years? You expand and you offer more products to more people. This is exactly what Les Stanford did by adding Les Stanford Buick GMC. It's the same great service that customers have come to know and trust on Woodward Avenue, just south of 9 Mile. Check out Les Stanford in Dearborn today. Find the brand you want at lesstanford.com. Hi, Shep.
Hi, Sean.
How you doing?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
I'm doing very well.
That was a fast hour.
Is it really an hour already?
Basically.
Wow, it is, yeah.
We left off talking about Jared Goff and what the perception is. I remember going to Dallas for the Lions and Cowboys years ago, and I remember leaving when Stafford and the Lions won in Dallas. Mm-hmm. And hearing those people boo the Cowboys left and right, and saying, when I left, hey, man, I wish we had your quarterback. I wonder how many people say that with the Lions. How many people say, I wish we had your quarterback? In case people, I mean, when he came out of Cal, he set Pac-12 records left and right. Touchdowns, passing yards. He was legit, right? Otherwise, he doesn't go as high in the draft as he did for the Rams. Brad Holmes, we know, believes in him. I don't know if Lions fans truly do.
I think that's a very fair statement. And you know what? I'm going to throw something out there, and then I'm going to ask, both Brandon and Pete Spivak, because they, see the comments show in, show out. Here's my take on Jared Goff in his time with the Lions. When he got here, you had a bunch of idiots saying he was an upgrade from Matthew Stafford.
Right.
Which, I'm sorry, you're still an idiot.
Right.
If you really truly believe that, you're an idiot.
Yeah. That's one of those things where people are they're going to dig their heels in.
That's just.
I never wanted the guy. I never believed in the guy. He showed me too much here. I was so close to the situation. I'm never going to believe. Even when he wins the Super Bowl. Well, look at who he had. It's pretty damn good.
Listen, it was a great deal to get a guy like Jared Goff, especially the way he's played. But the key to that was the two picks.
No
Whether
doubt.
people want to admit it or not, I don't care, okay?
Yeah, right.
Then you had the first year being here, it was like, okay, all the things that people like you, Baligian, said about Jared Goff are true. And then it became the love affair for a while. Mm-hmm. And I think the love affair took a big dent when he reverted in November. And
turnovers.
To me, it wasn't just the turnovers, Shep. It was when Jared Goff sees ghosts, that man, it's the Amityville Horror. I mean, it is. It's the Amityville Horror. And you can see it. You can physically see it happen. And
yeah,
then
but he never said that like Sam Darnold said that. He's never said that. What you're talking about his decision.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you can see it on the field. It's like, where are you going?
Yeah.
Where are you? You're seeing pressure or perhaps feeling pressure that isn't necessarily there. And but I think in the last month it's come back around. And I think when you add it all together, I think Jared Goff is what he is. I think he's a pretty good quarterback.
Yeah.
He's a pretty good quarterback. Yeah. I'm not going to use. I love this. I've quoted this for many years from you, and I'm serious. And I hope you've heard me say this on other shows. One of my favorite quotes from you is the word great is thrown around too easily.
Way too often.
Love that quote. I hope you've heard me give you credit for that as I'm giving you credit now. When I hear somebody say Jared Goff is great, I poo myself because he's not great. He's not great. Yeah. It's okay to say that, right?
He could make a great throw.
Yes,
he may have a great game once in a while. That doesn't mean he's great. That's not a knock on him, by the way, because I like him too. I can't always speak to the decision making because we're not privy to the reads. We're not privy to the protections that he's calling, the reads that he has. I'm very careful when it comes to quarterbacks in that regard. I may think you're going based on a read of a linebacker that you're going to break in. You may read it differently, break out. I throw in, it's a pick. Everyone blames the guy who threw it.
100%.
When it could be the wide receiver's fault.
Yep.
So I don't always know that, all right? And same thing with the pressure. Listen, you and I have been on the sidelines in games. The amount of speed that game is played with, especially in the NFL, is beyond belief. You got to get rid of it because they're on you. Nasty breath, like they've been dipping all day, and ready to just pounce on you. So those are the things I'm very careful with. But I think I think the simplest way in sports for fans with athletes or teams, there's one word that I always use, and I'll continue to use it, and it's trust. Mm-hmm. Sean said he trusts Steve Yzerman. There's no doubt he thinks he's going to get it done.
Yep.
That's good enough for me, okay? Uh-huh. Do you trust Jared Goff? He just said, I trust Brad Holmes. I trust Dan Campbell. That's a big word. I think that's a bigger word than great. It's a really important word. How much do you trust a certain player, a certain coach, a certain management team? It's massive. I say this to my kids on a regular basis.
Shep, I am not trying to put you... I interrupted you. I'm sorry.
Just real quick.
Go ahead.
Trust is something that is really easy to lose and very difficult to gain. So when you have it, hold on to it.
I'm not trying to put you in a bad position when I say this, okay? I was flabbergasted that the Al Avila game went on as long as it did. I was flabbergasted. You and I may have had a conversation about it by the time 2019 hit, no joke, and a couple guys that we both work with could vouch for this, okay?
Yeah.
If you couldn't see, you weren't paying attention, but nobody wanted to. Nobody wanted to. And what every argument about Al Avila ended with, every single argument, when you think about it, was you had to believe in the invisible. Well, wait till you see these guys at Erie. Oh, this Milky Waters. You hear the term 5 tools, he's got 6 tools.
Milky Waters.
He's so damn good, he's got 6 tools. But everything was, don't trust Al on what you're seeing at the major league level, okay? Don't trust Al on that, okay? Don't trust Al on the trades that he made where you ended up shaking your head and scratching your head. Trust Al on how he's rebuilding. And so here's why that didn't work so well with somebody like me, okay? Mm-hmm. I'm a nerd. Openly admit it. My name is Sean Baligian, I'm a nerd. So what I would do is I would go, all right, well, I'm going to look up the Erie Seawolves. Mm-hmm. Hey, wait a second. Whoa. I thought this Milky Waters was all that. Well, maybe there's an adjustment at that level. Let's wait and see what he's... Whoa, what do you do the next year? Everything that people were saying about Al Avila was believe in the invisible. It was. And whether you guys want to admit it or not...
Or the unknown.
Yes, exactly. The unknown. Mm-hmm. Whether we want to admit it or not, that continued well into 2022. Mm-hmm. It did. Okay? So to your point, I'm not just going to throw my trust at Al Avila because you tell me that I have to give me something I can sink my teeth into. Yeah. Give me something that makes me say, and I'm sorry, I'm not going to go, hey, this guy got it right with Spencer Torkelson. You got Spencer Torkelson because you sucked. That's how you got Spencer Torkelson.
But you still had to make the pick.
You have to make the pick.
Okay,
but how much?
Because Austin Martin was still there, and you could have drafted him too.
How much do we pat Matt Millen on the back for going and grabbing Calvin Johnson? I'm sorry, I can't do that.
No, but it's your misses and your trades as much as anything else.
100%.
And then a lot of it is later in drafts. Because he drafted Riley Green too, and he's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
He drafted Matt Manning, and Matt Manning's pretty good, right? Casey Mize. Well, yeah, I'm saying pretty good. I didn't say he's really good. So right now, I mean, those guys are part of your rotation. He drafted Tarek Skubal, who was a 6th-round draft pick.
That was I have to give him credit for that. Tip of the cap.
So that's what we do. We go, you know what? He did really good in the later draft picks, but the first round, I'm not so sure, blah, 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 blah. I think general managers, you bring up Al Avila, I think they're more ridiculed on their trades than anything else.
And he never was. Would you admit it was weird?
And that's the problem. So the problem is, what did you get for J.D. Martinez? Nobody. I mean, those 3 guys, none of them played.
There was no market for a guy that
Don't give me Dawal Lugo. Okay, what did you get for Justin Verlander? And the thing we don't know... What didn't he get? And the thing we don't know is what you could have had, right? So Justin Verlander had another year left on his contract. Hold on to him. Oh, he's going to be a bad seed. Tough. He's going to get paid. Okay? There are other examples of that, too. And it's not just Al Avila. It's not just the Tigers. There are other examples that we'll get to here when we come back.
All right. Do we have a read?
Yeah, well, actually, I do, and then you do coming back from break. But we're going to start with Swiss Insurance. I mean, you want to talk about trust. Do you have football on the brain? It's already been an awesome college and pro football season this year, and the bowl season going on right now. And winter is also the perfect time to shop your home and auto insurance. Shop it like a pro with Swiss Insurance. They cover Woodward Sports Network, and they should be covering you, too. Ask for Mark at Swiss Insurance today at swissins.com or call 248-800-4177.
Calling all landscapers. This is Darren McCarty. I'm at Outdoor Equipment Co. How would you like to... Calling all landscapers. This is Darren McCarty. I'm at Outdoor Equipment Co. How would you like to landscape like a legend? How about a bad boy zero turn? And even a chainsaw. And even a weed whipper. So register today at OutdoorEquipCo.com, and even you could have DMAC on your landscaping crew.
At work and at home, we're there with smarter security solutions. Featuring complete automation with customized alerts and more. For over 90 years, we've been the company that's been counted on to protect what matters most, all with personalized service and care. Right now, for a limited time, receive a free video device plus free installation with a new home system. Guardian Alarm. We protect Michigan.
Woodward Sports' own Tom Mazaway and Sam Stick Day will be hosting our Lions postgame show after every Lions game all season long. Tune into the Woodward Sports YouTube channel for his hot off the press takes, game analysis, and Kool-Aid sipping celebrations. You won't want to miss it. Join Maz, Stick, and special guests each week immediately following every Lions game, exclusively on the WSN YouTube channel.
Hey, Sean Baligian here. And listen, at my age, I'm happy I can still get my haircut, okay? Come to Lady Jane's when you need your haircut. I'm sitting here right now. I have a feeling what I'm going to be doing in a few minutes. You get an award-winning haircut experience. You can register to win a trip of your dreams. All expenses paid suite for the 2024 NC2A tourney. That's right, no expense spared for you and 5 of your best buds. What a trip that will be. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, open 7 days a week, walk in anytime. It's wicked awesome. Hi, Shep.
Hi, Sean. So we were just talking about Al Avila's draft picks and how it can be common. I think general managers oftentimes are measured on their trades as much as their draft picks, and should be. Because if you wanted to look at it, what's the blueprint for the NFL? It was always the New England Patriots. Mm-hmm. And we think they did everything right, when that's not necessarily true. They made bad draft picks too. I mean, they drafted Lawrence Maroney. They drafted guys like Chad Jackson. They drafted guys like Bethel Johnson and Dominic Easley. Guys who you're like, what? Are you kidding? They've got to be good because the Patriots drafted them, right? Wrong. It happens. It's how you are able to overcome those misses. And you don't miss, and I've had this conversation with friends of mine in the media for years. You cannot, in any sport, I believe, miss on first-round picks.
Can't do it.
Especially in NFL.
Got to hit it.
The NFL... I think I would argue your first 3 rounds should be starters. Maybe the third round is a starter in nickel coverage or on special teams. But your first 2 rounds, they've got to be immediate starters, unless it's a quarterback. That can be obviously some type of challenging situation, and you got to. But look, when we talked about Al Avila, as good as Joe Dumars was in assembling a team, and he was, what is Joe Dumars remembered for?
2 things in my mind.
Okay.
Number one, Darko. You're never going to.
Absolutely.
And as B. Dent and I were talking about beforehand, I thought one of the things that Joe did early on, Shep, was he would move on from a mistake. The term double down, it wasn't double down, it was like 10,000 down on Rodney Stuckey. Like that in my mind. I think that was the final dagger to the Joe Dumars legacy here, in one man's opinion. I really do.
Trading for Allen Iverson was not a great move.
That was part of. Okay. I think that was part of the Rodney Stuckey. That was an offshoot of the Rodney Stuckey.
Connected.
It really was.
How about signing Charlie Villanueva and Ben Gordon?
Ooh. Oh.
How about that? Just because you had the money. I had a big debate with a friend of mine I was working with in TV and used to cover the Pistons pretty regularly. And he said, oh, man, we got the two best free agents. I said, just because you have money, just because you sign free agents doesn't mean that you've fixed your problems.
Agreed.
Those are issues, and deep issues.
Agreed. But everything was okay because Rodney Stuckey was there, Shep.
The golden calf.
How about drafting? How about this one? And I would have been wrong, too. How about drafting... who's the kid? Rodney White out of UNC Charlotte, who I loved in college.
Yeah.
But Joe Johnson was there. Who else was there? Who's this? Zach Randolph was there. And the North Carolina kid, Brendan Hayward was there. I'm not saying I would have taken. I'm just saying those were guys you could have had, but you took Rodney White. I understood the pick. I'm just telling you I would have been wrong. So I had this conversation with an NFL general manager one day, and he said, look, this guy was not my pick. And I said, they're all your picks. He said, my coaching staff wanted him. And I said to him, but you're the GM. You get labeled with it. You are. I mean, that's what it is. You rely on your scouts, but it's your pick, no matter what. Every time there's a draft pick,
it's on you.
It's on Troy Weaver. Now it's on Scott Harris.
Yep.
Now it is always going to be on Brad Holmes.
So if you,
this is the way it is.
If you talk to your staff, if you spend hours and hours and hours and months and months and months talking to your staff, and all your staff, let's say, just off the top of my head, you're in the third round of a draft, and everybody at the table sits back and says, we are taking this kid,
Brian Calhoun.
And then you yell out the name Brian Calhoun. That's your pick. You are going to live with that pick for the rest of your days. That is still my favorite story. That is. We could write a book about some of the stuff that happened. That for people out there that don't know, Matt Millen, literally from the time he left the war room to the time that they sent the pickup, Matt Millen was convinced he was taking somebody else. Mm-hmm. His words, not mine. He changed his mind on the way to deliver the pick and said, Brian Calhoun out of the University of Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm. Akika Alama Francis.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. No, seriously. I mean, like there are certain like, Jeff Backus was. He was a good player. Mm-hmm. He was not a great player. Mm-hmm. He's a good player. Most people who said, I wouldn't have taken Joey Harrington, come on. He was really good in college. I mean, there are reasons you look at guys at a combine, you go to their personal workouts, all that stuff, right? Kalimba Edwards, you saw something in him, right? Willie Young, 7th round pick.
They fell in love with the guy.
But yeah, there are certain. What did Sean say earlier? The really good GMs, they can admit their mistakes and move on from them. And he couldn't do that.
I will never forget
Charles Rogers.
I will never forget going up, and Shep, you were probably there, but going up to that camp up in Saginaw when they were the first time that the coaching staff saw Joey Harrington throw the ball.
Yeah.
And I always joked I would love to play cards with Steve Mariucci because Steve Mariucci had no poker face about what he was looking at.
Yeah.
You couldn't. It was. I'm not joking. It was a look. It was a horrified look. Like, this is what I'm dealing with.
It was horrified.
This is my guy.
Yeah. Wow.
You know. I mean, it was absolutely amazing. And you know, I always said, unfortunately,
I like Steve, but it's not like he ran a really tight camp.
Well, there's no doubt about that.
It was. I mean, we got to be careful with.
Well, I remember a guy that coined it Camp Happy Times. As a matter of fact,
right?
If you remember,
we're building something.
I used to use that line all the time. Camp Happy Times. But I think, Shep, what happens is, unfortunately, a guy ends up in the wrong... Like, you brought up Charles Rogers, okay? Like, I'm telling you, Charles Rogers went to 100% the wrong place.
Yeah, for sure.
He went to the wrong place.
Yeah. Just remember, the guy everybody in this town wanted when Joey Harrington was coming out was Quentin Jammer.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Boy, isn't that the truth?
And how good was Quentin Jammer?
Yeah. But at the end of the day, I
special.
think sometimes a guy...
I mean, Sean wanted T.J. Duckett, but
I loved... Oh, boy. There was a second left on the clock. There wasn't. But listen, Shep, like, I think we'll never know what Joey Harrington may have been someplace else. I have a feeling it would have ended the way that it did. It wasn't going to work here. I think you knew that.
No, I know.
And people.
He didn't do himself any
Most
favors.
importantly, that's what I was getting to. Most importantly, what people didn't see was why it wasn't going to work here.
Exactly right. And we'll tell you a little bit more about that draft when we come back. Sean, you got to read, right?
Do I? Oh, okay. With 18 locations, there is a Feldman dealership.
I love flying by the seat of our pants.
In your backyard.
It's awesome.
Visit FeldmanAuto.com to find the location nearest you. Since 1996, Feldman Automotive has been driven to provide a fast, convenient, and first-class car buying experience. That's why they call it the Feldman Advantage. Catch Woodward Sports Network live from Feldman Chevrolet of Novi every other Monday. It's in my backyard. I'm sure there's one in your backyard as well. More of the show with Matt Shepard and Sean Baligian next.
Come to any Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men for an award-winning haircut experience from one of our talented stylists and register for a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to win an all-expenses-paid suite for the 2024 NCAA tournament for you and 5 of your best buds. That's right, college basketball's most elite event. You and your 5 best friends just get to any Lady Jane's today for an award-winning haircut experience and automatically register to win the trip of your dreams. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. Lady Jane's, it's wicked awesome.
Where's the most convenient place to get that big fitness energy?
It's Planet Fitness.
Join today for just $1 down, $10 a month. With over 2,400 locations and equipment for every workout, you can get in, get energized, and get going. And with free fitness training and most clubs open 24 hours, everyone belongs in the judgment-free zone. So join today for $1 down, $10 a month, no commitment, cancel anytime. Deal ends Wednesday, September 13th.
Join now at any Metro Detroit location. Hurry, offer ends soon.
Now, coming to Woodward Sports, Woodward and Main Street, the Woodward Sports Network Detroit Lions Show. Catch Gabrielle D. Phillips, Matt Broder, and Terry Foster for all the latest news on your Detroit Lions every week. Only on the Woodward Sports Network YouTube channel and woodwardsports.com. Join Woodward Sports' own Jeff Iafrate along with special WSN guests for the most anticipated Lions season in decades. Filled with different surprises and expert analysis. You're not going to want to miss out. Go to our Woodward Sports YouTube channel on Sundays and tune in live from 9:30 to 11:30 a.m.
Hey, let's talk about outdoor equipment. Official equipment provider of Woodward Sports, Michigan-grown, family-owned bad boy mowers, tractors, handhelds, even weed whippers, Liberty trailers, Generac generators, Snow X plows and salters. They've got it all. That's right. Outdoor Equipment Company has it all. Buy it, rent it, 0% financing, delivery to your doorstep, OutdoorEquipmentCo.com. Isn't that funny, Pete? You know, yeah, Joey Blue Skies was my creation.
Joey Blue Skies, didn't know that.
I would play Mr. Blue Skies from ELO. Because
nice.
remember the press conferences?
Good tune. Oh, yeah.
The press conference, it was hell.
Oh,
it was hell.
Yeah.
It's a learning experience. Everything, and he'd get that dreamy look on his face.
It was, he did not do himself any favors. I don't want to go back to that era, but we did talk a little bit about it. There's only one name. Ed Reed's a Hall of Famer. He was a first rounder, but guess what? I think 22 teams passed on Ed Reed.
Yeah.
So it's easy for me to say, you know what? Should have chosen that guy. Well, you know what? Every other team basically said no to it too.
I hate the hindsight is
so do I.
2020 arguments.
So do I.
I do.
Yeah.
Look, at the end of the day, you know, at that time, the Detroit Lions needed a quarterback.
Yeah.
They did.
That's why.
Period, end of story.
But that's why you don't draft for need.
Yeah.
You run into all kinds of problems when you draft for need. You draft the best play, and people get so tired of it. I get tired of it sometimes. Oh, a collective eye roll. Oh, here come the cliches. No, it's true. And it's funny because I'll sit there and I'll blame athletes and coaches for cliches, but then we turn around and we use them too in the media. Kind of an upset going on in the bowl game, by the way. Rutgers leads Miami, and they were beating them rather soundly in the first. So there are 41 bowl games. 41 in college football. Is that too many?
Is that our Pop-Tart Bowl?
I don't think it's the Pop-Tart Bowl.
Can we look at the?
So.
Have you ever seen the trophy, Shep? Watch this trophy.
Oh, hang on. Yep.
No, wait. Pete's gonna look at that. That is the greatest trophy known to man. Look at that.
Yeah, that looks good.
It doubles as I would destroy those Pop-Tarts coming out of the top of it. Are you kidding me?
There was a box here just the other day, yesterday. I thought
that was
for
D-Max. Sure. He took it with him.
I'm not touching D-Max Pop-Tarts. No thanks. I like my jaw where it sits quite well, thank you.
But they're up 14 zip right now in the Bad Boy Mowers Pinstripe Bowl.
That's what it is. Yeah.
You know,
that's impressive. I mean, look, I root for the Big Ten. I want every Big Ten team to win.
Contrary to what you believe, I do too.
I really do. So, Greg Schiano, maybe not the greatest human being, but leading Miami, that's great. You know, up 14-0, but 41 bowl games. So people have asked me this. Somebody just asked me this on Christmas night. God, all these bowl games. Don't you think there's too many?
No.
And so my response was, why? I mean, if TV needs programming first and foremost. That's good programming. All right. You don't have to watch it. I'm not asking you to watch Arkansas State. I'm just telling you, it's good programming. That's number one. Number two, and maybe most importantly, you and I can appreciate this. I love when mid-major teams get the opportunity to keep playing.
Absolutely. Shep, let me also add this. My sarcastic response when somebody does that is, why do you hate college football? We get more games.
Yeah.
You know, when January 9th hits, I call it the infinite sadness.
Yeah.
Because it's over.
Yeah.
It's it.
Yeah.
And the first thing I do, being the nerd that I am, is start to count the days until week 0. Oh my gosh, we have 211 days or whatever till week 0. Mm-hmm. To me,
or to spring games.
Yeah. But I mean, you know what I'm saying? I've never wait a second, do you call yourself a college football fan?
Right.
Well, yeah. Okay, well, I get to come home, like this afternoon. I get to go meet a couple buddies. We're going to grab some beers, and we're going to go watch a couple games tonight. Because I'm not watching the atrocity that's the New York Jets and Cleveland Browns tonight.
Why not?
As good as
why do you hate the NFL?
Listen, as good as Jim Schwartz has done with that Browns defense, and he has.
Yeah,
remember Jim Schwartz?
Yeah.
Remember that guy?
Handshake.
He ain't afraid. Gosh. I can tell you that. He threw his flag when he shouldn't have thrown his flag, but that's a story for a different day.
Oh.
But as good as he's done with that job, that game does nothing for me. I have no interest in that. So you know what? Yeah, I'm going to watch a couple bowl games. There's one coming on later this afternoon. There's a pretty darn good one coming tonight. So when I hear people say that, I'm not trying to be an ass. Well, how big of a college football fan are you? Look, we all know there are guys that just want to stay on the ranch.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
They want to watch what Michigan's doing. They want to watch what Michigan State's doing if they make a bowl.
Yeah.
They want to watch what Rutgers is doing,
They only
things
want
like that.
the big bowl games.
Yeah, that's
what they
and
want.
if that, fine. But
That's
to
okay,
me,
yeah.
I'm a college football fan. I like watching college football. I think there's more excitement in college football than there is in the NFL. One man's opinion. So I don't have a problem. 41 games, I wish I could watch them all.
Yeah.
It's physically impossible, but I wish I could watch them all. When I have an opportunity to watch, as we have it up on the screen right here, I'm going to watch it.
It's also really important for some of these other programs to get this type of payday or recognition. Now, sometimes the paydays, it doesn't always work out for you. All right? It just doesn't. You're not making enough money to warrant the travel and everything else. But the way you sell programs is winning and getting kids to the NFL. For teams that will never have a chance at winning a national championship, to say we played in this bowl game and won is important. And it's important for these kids to get some recognition. It's important for them to continue to get the practices. It's important for us, I think. That way we're a little bit more knowledgeable as we head into the April draft, and we all love to talk about it. but maybe most importantly, it's that I want college football to stay alive. And I don't want it to be just two big conferences with big-name teams that have those reputations of winning national championships. It's okay. It's great. But I don't like the depth that college football provides. If all we're going to do is worry about two conferences, two Power 5 conferences, okay? And that's kind of obviously that's wrong. It's not two Power 5, but you get it. They're all Power 5 teams. Yeah. What do we do with all the other ones?
No, it's Shepard, boy. And you know what? I think I get, for people that don't know, he called Eastern at one point in time, and I was involved in the
And I went to Bowling
broadcast.
Green.
Yeah, right?
The MAC, baby. Yeah.
So a lot of times what people don't understand is, and you see it when teams come into Michigan State or teams come into Michigan, we were on the other side of that. We went into Ohio State one year when I was with Toledo, and it was a big payday. Yeah. And Coach Pinkel, Gary Pinkel was there at the time, hated it. Absolutely hated it. He said, hey, this is wonderful. We just made $850,000 while my kids got their poop pushed in. That was a phenomenal Ohio State team. And it was 49-0 at halftime.
Yeah,
Thanks for the memories. It does nothing for anybody but for the university. But the flip side to that, okay, and Shep, I'm sure you're going to remember that, we went into Crappie Valley in 2000 and literally beat the piss out of Penn State.
Yeah.
Beat the piss out of them.
Yeah.
Where I'm not joking, the score was not indicative to what a thorough beatdown that game was.
And Toledo's done that quite a bit, okay? Western has done that. They've gone to, where have they gone? They went, I don't think they went to West Virginia. They went to Virginia Tech and won back in the day. Eastern has beaten 3 Big Ten teams. I mean, those are little things. Central has beaten State in back-to-back years. This was a long time ago. But the point is, when you get that opportunity, then as a kid going to a mid-major, that is a really nice incentive for you. And those kids have aspirations too. And they may realize coming out of high school, I'm not good enough to play at a Big Ten school. But I can play at a mid-major. I can get better. I can get bigger. I can get stronger. And who knows what happens?
I knew that Max Crosby wasn't going anywhere. I mean, that guy, geez, Pete.
I was going to say, if you guys don't mind me bringing up one, my Bowling Green Falcons were at Georgia Tech this year, and in Week 5, down 14-0, and they came back to win the game 38-21.
Yeah.
I mean, that's huge.
And by the
we
way,
got $950,000 for that.
And they played what? They got what?
$950,000 for that.
Are you sure?
Yeah. I'll have to double check that.
It wasn't more than that?
Might be a little bit more, but I know it was like near the million.
Now.
It was near the million area.
Yeah. By the time all their expenses and everything are done, they're probably making somewhere in the neighborhood of $700,000, which is still a hell of a payday for Bowling Green. And here's what people don't always understand: because they're so limited financially, and because there's only so much their overall sports can play. I don't know how many sports they have. 16?
We have the full complement. Yep, 16. Yeah, with full complement.
Okay, so 16.
And hockey eats up so much of that.
Yeah, but that $700,000 goes to paying for a lot of the other sports. It's really important.
Yep.
I just know in all the years I've done college football at the MAC level, they go to a place like that. Like Eastern went to LSU. It wasn't nearly that, but it's good enough, right? A lot of times the best thing is for Eastern or Western or Central to play Michigan or Michigan State because you can bus there.
Yeah.
That saves a ton of money. And you don't necessarily, they're always going to stay in a hotel, but you can stay closer to what your price range may be. And like you said, you go there, you may spring the upset.
Well, and to your point, that's the difference between taking one of those games, which the sad reality is it's a necessity.
Yes.
And going to a bowl game. Because that's where your costs go up.
Yeah, big
You're,
time.
you're not going to make any money off the bowl games. You aren't.
You're not.
Because everybody and their brother hey, one time I coughed on the practice field. Can I get on your plane?
Exactly.
Everybody and their brother wants to go, and all of a sudden the costs go like that. So they're going to make the money off of those games, going to LSU, going to Penn State, going to Michigan State. They're not going to make the money. You're flying to Bahamas, okay?
Right.
Eastern Michigan's going to bring 200 people to the Bahamas Bowl. Okay, boom, there goes your money.
Right. You're not exactly right. And by the way, it's not unique to college football. College basketball, same thing. You're going to the national championship. Everybody is on that plane, and you're looking around going, wait a minute,
I don't
how
know
come you weren't going to Evanston
never
with
seen
us?
you. I've never seen you in my entire lifetime.
But you got a Big Ten title hat. Good for you.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Pete?
Break time.
Break time.
All right.
How about that? You guys want to hear about the Hamlin Pub?
Yeah, I do.
I mean, it's
unless it's got
fan.
food. If it's got food,
Look
in
at
it,
It's got food. I'm going to keep torching you,
Let me
Shep.
tell you something. In the words of Sean, you want to fight? You want to fight right now?
We're going to fight. Well, maybe we'll go to the Hamlin Pub and fight because it's half-off pizza night on a Thursday. But anyway, have you ever wanted a bar where you're a regular? We have just the place for you. Head to one of Hamlin Pub's 7 locations and experience where everyone's a regular, including Shep. Whether you're there enjoying half-off pizza on a Thursday, that's tonight, or game day specials available during all Michigan sports and NFL games, Hamlin Pub is the place. Visit a location today and experience your new favorite pub for all things sports.
Coming to Woodward Sports, Woodward and Main Street, the Woodward Sports Network Detroit Lions Show. Catch Gabrielle D. Phillips, Matt Broder, and Terry Foster for all the latest news on your Detroit Lions every week. Only on the Woodward Sports Network YouTube channel and woodwardsports.com.
Any Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men for an award-winning haircut experience from one of our talented stylists and register for a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to win an all-expenses-paid suite for the 2024 NCAA tournament for you and 5 of your best buds. That's right, college basketball's most elite event. You and your 5 best friends just get to any Lady Jane's today for an award-winning haircut experience and automatically register to win the trip of your dreams. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. Lady Jane's, it's wicked awesome.
Oh, yeah, Jack Labrador time. R.I.P. to the same old Lions. Big thanks to Sheila, Brad, and Dan for putting them to rest. And guess what else has found the grave? Same old rock, paper, scissors. Jack Labrador has revolutionized that tired old game with 2 new symbols and a franchise-changing 3-point play. Discover the action at jacklabrador.gg now and find out why. Once you go Jack, you'll never go back. And now back to Ermanni and Edwards with Sean and Shep.
Read a great story the other day about Wayne Gretzky. In the 1987 Canada Cup, Wayne Gretzky asked a few Russian players to come over to his house for a barbecue. They said, we can, but you have to bring KGB agents. So they brought some KGB agents and a few Russian players, and then the Russian players said, hey, could we bring so-and-so? He's like, yeah, bring as many as you want over. And he told a friend of his, I want you to keep the KGB agents busy while we go into, I don't know if it was a walkout basement or whatever, and he snuck some beers to some of the Russian players because that was a no-no at the time. And I thought to myself, those are the stories that you love to hear. Legend. I wish I would have heard it earlier, but it makes you like him even that much more.
I never knew that one.
Oh, it was phenomenal.
So
it's phenomenal.
What people don't understand too is like now that you said that, everything comes together. So they played a game in Montreal, and then they had 2 in Hamilton, and Gretz wasn't too far from Hamilton in Brantford.
Right.
You know, and that's I think that's around the time he was starting his winery over there. So it's not too far away. That is
one of the people he invited over was the coach. He said, if you're going to come, you've got to bring the coach.
Victor Tikhonov was there?
Tikhonov was there, yeah.
Boy, I bet he was a barrel of laughs.
But how cool is that? That's an awesome story.
Wanted to beat all the Canadian guys like he beat his own players. But
I'll give credit where credit is due. It's on the Spittin' Chicklets.
Listen, Shep, I think you'll agree with me. There's a reason why that is held on a pedestal. Go look at those rosters and watch those games. That is probably the greatest hockey tournament ever played. I mean, really and truly. And I always used to joke with Larry Murphy about this. The famous goal they scored with 52 seconds left, whatever the hell it was. Yeah. Gretzky and Lemieux was absolutely right. Larry Murphy's the trailer. And I'm telling you, the play legitimately should have gone to the trailer because nobody's on him. High slot. Larry Murphy, there's no way in hell he's touching that puck. Murph, Hall of Famer, great guy. Shout out to Murph. But you got Wayne and Mariel. There's also the little story. See, you got me going. Allegedly, legend has it, Mariel walked into the locker room pounding darts. Pounding darts. He was a big smoker.
Didn't know that.
And Wayne was like, "What the hell are you doing? Like, what are you doing?" And Mariel quit smoking.
Really? That's how he quit?
Yep.
Interesting.
An amazing, but great, one of the greatest hockey tournaments ever, period.
Really a genuine guy. I remember 2017 when the Red Wings lost to the Penguins. I was on the ice for the celebration. Remember, everybody hated Sidney Crosby and all that stuff because he didn't skate to center ice soon enough to shake Nick Lidstrom's hand. And I remember interviewing Mario Lemieux after that game on the ice.
Yeah.
You and I were working at the same shop together, and I was just taken aback about how genuine he really was. And then I mentioned how much you loved him, and he said, "Tell him I said hello."
I do love
I
Mario.
I want you to think
love
about
him.
this for 1 second. Yesterday, you and I touched on the Pistons, and they're back in action tonight in Boston. And if they lose tonight, it's 28 straight. They've already have the single season record, but 28 would tie the longest losing streak with the Sixers, who ended one season and carried over into the next. Okay. Interesting article from CBSSports.com where they said the Pistons could keep it up with Detroit to have the worst 21st century record in 4 sports. Because remember,
that's pretty cool.
The Lions went 0-16 in 2008.
This guy.
We lived it. 2003, the Tigers were 43 up and 119 down. And the Red Wings in 2020 were 17, 49, and 5.
Jeez. Somebody get Chad on the line. Maybe he can fire me. That's come over and kick my dog, Shep.
How about that?
That's
that is, you and I are from here. We always say this is the greatest sports town in America.
I love it.
I say that to my kids all the time. I don't necessarily disagree that a lot of people always used to poke fun of me for saying that, but I truly believed it. And I still believe it, but man, that is suffering right there. And then they go on to say this. Think of this. In 2008, when the Lions went 0-16, they were outscored by 249 points.
That's when I came up with cider mill moments. That was it, like that was so painful, Shep. What I would do is I was like, I'm not doing this today. I'm heading to the sanctuary of the cider mill. And I would urge people, like, "Hi, I'm Sean Baligian for Cider Mills.
I'm not doing this today.
I'm not doing this today. I need donuts."
Come on, wait, you got to admit, it was really easy back then because all you had to do, I'm not lying. You could show up 2 minutes before your shift, put in your headphones, turn on the mic, and say, "Lions lost again yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
They're now 0-12," and then all you do is sit back. That's why I've always said, I firmly believe this. I firmly believe people in our business, sometimes they'd rather a team lose because it's much easier.
Oh, easy. No doubt. No doubt. It's amazing.
It's tough to write. It's really tough to write. It's tough to broadcast.
Listen, I'd sit back and eat my cider and donuts, and it didn't ruin my Sundays. I mean, because I'm not joking. We
talked
about it yesterday.
That was after you had your conies.
It was after I ate my conies. I'm not joking. Listen, that was awful. I like that. It's really weird when you mention each one of those. If I may, Shep, like 2003 for whatever reason doesn't bother me so much, as bad as the Tigers were. And I think the reason for that is my then 4-year-old son loved baseball, and it was just great to go to the park with him as much as humanly possible.
Was it also expectations?
Yeah.
What were the expectations? Right.
The problem I think with 2008. The problem I think with 2008, and I've said this for years, I'm going to say it for years. Mm-hmm. People around here legitimately thought, even before the 4-0, that this was a pretty good team.
Mm-hmm.
I'll never forget talking to Matt Millen at training camp that year. You remember he had the full beard and it was brand new Millen and everything?
He was great to deal with.
He was.
When you're at practice, he was.
I think he was a nice human being.
Yeah.
Okay, but he had the full beard and all of a sudden he wasn't talking too much. And he was like, "I'm going to let this team do the talking. I think we're going to surprise a lot of people." Like, that was real. That happened.
They surprised us.
Yeah. So at the beginning of the year, I was doing something with the late Tom Kowalski, and I think he said 4-12, and I said 3-13. The way that people reacted was, I mean, it was amazing.
Hater.
Yeah, I mean, it was okay. Now you're just clearly trying to get a rise out of people. There's no way you could say that. Think about that. We missed by 4 games. I'm sorry. That did something to my soul. Like the 2008 Detroit Lions really did something to my soul. There's a bruise that it's almost like a brain bruise, and I'm not making light of concussions. There's like a bruise it's just never going to heal. You accept that. With the other one, Shep, I guess I don't feel that way. I really don't. I don't. As bad as you're talking about, I don't feel that way, because there's something to be said about nothing, zero, nothing, and knowing full well a few weeks ahead of time, the last hope was that Vikings game in early December. And when they lost that game close, you're like, this is going to happen.
Yeah.
They are not going to beat Drew Brees in New Orleans. They are not going into Lambeau to beat the Green Bay Packers.
Even if Don Mikowski came back, they wouldn't have beaten him.
Lynn Dickey, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe they beat Lynn Dickey.
Right.
I mean, he was 60 at the time. But, I mean, you understand my point.
Yeah. It's a reality. When the reality sets in,
that
it's
was
humbling.
the worst. It really was. That was the absolute worst that you knew. There's no way, even in the NFL, any given Sunday, this team was. Go back and look at that roster. Like, honest to God, go look at the 2008 roster. You had
you don't like Ernie Sims? You got a problem?
You got a not quite ready for prime time, Optimus Prime. You got Jason Hansen, and you have a bunch of corpses. That's what that roster was. It was.
The thing about that, Calvin Johnson had a really good year.
He did.
Yeah. Like he had almost 80 rocks, over 1,300 yards. Problem is, Dan Orlovsky was throwing him the ball. Dan Orlovsky's a great analyst, right? He is. He's a great analyst. He wasn't a great quarterback. He was good enough to hold on for a long time, but he wasn't great. When your defense gives up 517 points, I mean, you should be playing taps. Yeah.
Rusty Hilger would have been better.
Oh,
that's how bad it was.
I don't know about that.
Maybe not.
Couldn't have been any worse.
Maybe not. Maybe Jeff Comlo, perhaps, but no, Shep. So when you talk about those,
but they had a player or two that was decent. Like Cliff Averill was good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Uncle Cliffy.
I've said Jeff Backus, good player, right? Obviously Calvin Johnson, elite player.
Dom.
Yeah. Dominic Raiola.
Yeah.
But overall,
it was.
I go into a lot of games thinking that. I look at games like this. Maybe it's the wrong way to look at it, but I go, how many on your team do I want, and how many of my guys would you want?
Fair.
Or let's say we'll look at the Pistons and Celtics tonight, right? That Boston coaching staff, when they're looking back and they're looking at the Pistons on the floor, how many guys are they going, I'd love to have this guy? There's not, right? Seriously.
Shep, I'm not being funny. My son and I, in particular, felt very sorry for you during some of those Tiger seasons. Okay? I know you were living the dream, okay? But I'm not joking. We would sit at home and go, okay, here comes Zachy Short, little Zachy Short running on the field, right? But, I mean, honestly, we would sit back and go, what people don't understand, and I mean this as a compliment, and I'm going to bring B. Dent into it in a second. Okay, I have a choice. I have a choice. If I'm sitting at home, I can go, I'm heading to the cider mill, baby. My salvation lies at Parmender's, right? You don't have a choice. You're there, game in, game out, $1.62, okay? Be dead.
Yep.
He's got to go to the gosh damn game. He's got to go there, and he's got to talk to the Walking Dead after the game. Because these guys don't have any answers.
Right.
You know the routine. I know the routine. They know the routine. You have to ask them questions they don't have any flipping answers for.
No.
So that's why, at least for me in 2008, at that point in time, I was done doing that godforsaken post-game show.
Yeah.
Right? For years,
oh my God.
I had to sit there for the entire Millen regime and do those post-game shows until, and you can vouch for this, I literally walked into my boss's office. Much respect, boss. I'm not going to say your name out of respect. And I said, I'm not doing the post-game show this year. I can't do it.
Right.
And this person said, you have to do the post-game show this year. And I said, I'm not joking, I will quit.
I will
serious.
fight you. You said I will fight you first.
No, I couldn't
and
fight.
then you said
I'm not
quit.
joking. I said I'll quit. Like, I can't do this anymore.
I had to do the Monday press conference on Fox Sports Detroit at the time, where you're there and you're setting things up. Here comes Rod Marinelli.
Whatever to you.
Here comes Steve Mariucci. Here comes this guy. Every Monday, the media's waiting. They look back. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us. And then you got to get into that. And then you're taking whatever afterwards. Spin that. It ain't easy.
I feel sorry for you guys. I'm not.
No, don't feel sorry for us. You got a great job. It's a great job. It is. I mean, it's a bad team. It's a great job.
Listen, I'm going to tell you what. The last couple of years, I probably would just have hung a noose out the press box. And just there's my body. Just I got to talk about how great Akil Baddoo is. There's my body. Just
and we'll be back.
Pete,
what do you got?
On that note, well, let's go to Planet Fitness. I mean, speaking of, you don't want to die when you go to Planet Fitness to work out, but Planet Fitness is the home of the judgment-free zone, where anyone, and we mean anyone, can feel comfortable and work on their fitness goals, just like Sean Baligian. At Planet Fitness, you will experience a squeaky clean gym that has tons of equipment, a full-body workout in just 30 minutes, and all memberships include fitness training. You get all of this for just $10 a month, no commitment, no matter where you are. There's a Planet Fitness close by. There are more than 50 in Metro Detroit and thousands more throughout the world.
Now, coming to Woodward Sports, Woodward and Main Street, the Woodward Sports Network Detroit Lions Show. Catch Gabrielle D. Phillips, Matt Broder, and Terry Foster for all the latest news on your Detroit Lions every week. Only on the Woodward Sports Network YouTube channel and woodwardsports.com.
Your home is your most important asset. Flexibility in the sales process is key. When you work with Mark White and Associates, you can cancel at any time, for any reason, without penalty. Speaking of flexibility, check this out. Who you work with matters. Hire the best broker in the game.
Calling all landscapers. This is Darren McCarty. I'm at Outdoor Equipment Co. How would you like to landscape like a legend? How about a bad boy zero turn? And even a chainsaw. And even a weed whipper. So register today at OutdoorEquipCo.com, and even you could have DMAC on your landscaping crew.
Give your pet the best. Premier Pet Supply is hands down Michigan's best pet store. Same prices and all the conveniences of online and big box realtors. With one major difference: family and locally owned and operated for 30 plus years. Over 60 brands of food with nutrition experts to help you. Same day, local curbside and home delivery. Premier Pet Supply. Give your pet the best. Sean Baligian, I know you got a couple doggies. At www.premierpetsupply.com.
Listen, I'll give that puppy away. I will give that puppy away. That's our giveaway for the show. I have a 2-month-old puppy. If you want to take that little bastard off my hands, I'll give you my address. Come over to the house. Let me kick his little sorry ass one time before you take him, and then he's yours.
Is it a big dog or a small dog?
No, he's a dumb dog. Dumb dog, dumb master. I got nobody to blame but myself, but you can have that little bastard. Take him away.
I was going to say, you're the one who trained him, right?
He is dumb. He is boy, is that dog
What
dumb.
kind is it?
Schnoodle.
What the hell is that? What's a
It's a
schnoodle?
mix between a schnauzer and a poodle. And allegedly they're supposed to be smart. That gene pool missed with that guy. Oh, is he dumb?
So how big is he going to get?
Like 20 pounds.
Is he the Akil Baddoo of dogs?
You know what? That kills me. I would not think you were a small dog type of guy.
Listen,
You didn't pick it out, did you?
No, hell no. I stopped picking things out about 25 years ago. picking. The only thing I'm picking is my ass. But no, when I was a kid, so my first dog, Chelios, was a big lab. Love labs. But honestly, all jokes aside, Schnoodles are really cool. It's a cool breed.
Okay.
I enjoy it. I mean, they're kind of foo-foo, but they're sweet dogs. They're loving dogs. They're great with the kids. Except this one, something broke in him.
It's just hard for me to. I can't. My wife wanted a small dog for our second dog. I said, I'm not walking it. Not walking little dogs. Just can't do it. So we got 2 Goldens. I want to talk about emotion for a moment.
All right.
So emotion from dogs, which in your household seems to be very negative, to emotions on the football field. I'm not sure if you saw what Dante Hall said about Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce lately. But you remember they had that blow up in that upset loss to the Raiders on Christmas Day. Mahomes is screaming in his offensive line. We don't know what he was saying. And Travis Kelce threw a helmet. And Dante Hall, who is considered a Kansas City great, I guess. He's not a Hall of Famer, but he's considered a Kansas City great. Really went after them. Talked about body language being everything. And when you're screaming and yelling at your players, that permeates negativity. He said, what you have to have in the first 5 years, that poker face. We're going to win in the end. You got to be positive. So I think that's fair. However, why is it when Peyton Manning or Tom Brady scream at their offensive line or players in general and get results out of it, everyone's like, that's leadership. But if somebody else does it and it doesn't turn out the way they would hope in a victory in this case, it's a negative.
Can I use a guy that I think is tragically underrated to help support what you just said?
Yeah.
And Dan Marino.
Yeah.
Dan Marino was known for, he crucified those guys.
Yes.
He did. I mean, I could still see his face all pissed off running down the field. And I always kind of felt that Dan Marino, and obviously, look, you have to win a Super Bowl. Whether you want to admit it or not, in order to be in that Hollywood area, you have to win a Super Bowl.
But he didn't.
He
and
didn't.
Only went to one.
He didn't, and I think people hold that against him, which I don't think is fair because he's one of the best I've ever seen.
Right.
Dan was
I think
unbelievable.
Joe Montana actually said that too.
Yeah, I mean,
Said he's
really
the
and
best
truly,
he ever
he's
saw.
one of the best I've ever seen.
No
But
doubt.
I've always kind of chuckled when I heard people say, well, what hurt Dan was his emotion and how he would go after the dupers or the marks and everything. And I'd be like, time out. Wait a second. Tom Brady rips people open. He guts them. He does.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of funny that you bring that up because I always thought that was something that was held against Dan Marino. B. Dent, you're telling us to break already?
Yeah, we got one small little break, man. We got a couple more commercials we got to get in.
But let me real quick. I'm to Shep's point. I'm throwing it up on the screen. Here's what Dante also had to say about Patrick Mahomes. There.
Go ahead and read it, Sean.
Patrick Mahomes, I love you. You're my favorite quarterback. But I think you need to fall in love with the mundane. It's time to be checked down Tom Brady. You could play that little sweet music behind it.
Was Tom Brady known as a check down play?
I don't think
never
so,
looked at
but
him
that
like
was
a
his
check down
comment.
play.
Coming.
I think
Joey Harrington.
You know what else it is? It's that he tries, quote unquote, to do too much.
Yeah.
Instead of making the simple play, it's funny. What has made him great? What has made them a 2-time Super Bowl champion?
Barnum and Bailey. Look at me.
Right.
I'm not looking.
It's called freelancing.
Yeah,
right.
freelancing.
Oh, look at him deliver the sidearm. Matt Stafford did that in Detroit, and everybody ridiculed him.
Yo, you're right.
Remember Rich Gannon coming out and saying, "This is a joke. That's not how you throw. You do if you can." Right? It's the baseball background. It's a good thing, by the way. It's only brought up negatively when it's picked off or it's behind a guy or whatever. Right? It's funny because guys will throw over the top, and the same thing will happen, but nobody criticizes him for that. But I think it has to do with exactly right. I mean, it's just one of those situations. Patrick Mahomes was a magician out there, and still is. Now you're telling him, stop doing it, and just hit the dink and dunks, and manage the game, manufacture the game.
You know, he has fallen in love with Rice, too. Have you noticed that? I mean, he is constantly looking Rice's way. The last few weeks that I've watched them.
Could it be because he's the only guy who can catch?
It might be.
I picked him up week 6
and he
in
actually
fantasy.
asked the official
I
if
knew
he's
that
on.
was coming.
He actually asked the official if he's onside. which was the biggest much ado about nothing that I remember in the last 2 decades.
No, that's a big deal.
Ask. It's on you. It's on you.
He did ask and was told he was all right. I'm not saying it's justified. Offsides is offsides. I'm just telling you, he did ask.
All right. Go ahead.
All right, we got to go real quick here from Mark White. Dreaming of a new home but feeling the financial pinch? Mark White and Associates, your trusted real estate experts, are here to help. Mark White and his team will pay up to $5,000 of your closing costs. That's right, I said $5,000. Call Mark White and Associates today at 248-290-8242 or visit them at markwhitesells.com. Again, call Mark White today at 248-290-8242 and make your home buying dreams come true.
Woodward Sports' own Tom Mazaway and Sam Stick Day will be hosting our Lions postgame show after every Lions game all season long. Tune into the Woodward Sports YouTube channel for his hot-off-the-press takes, game analysis, and Kool-Aid sipping celebrations. You won't want to miss it. Join Maz, Stick, and special guests each week immediately following every Lions game, exclusively on the WSN YouTube channel.
Any Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men for an award-winning haircut experience from one of our talented stylists and register for a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to win an all-expenses-paid suite for the 2024 NCAA tournament for you and 5 of your best buds. That's right, college basketball's most elite event. You and your 5 best friends just get to any Lady Jane's today for an award-winning haircut experience and automatically register to win the trip of your dreams. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. Lady Jane's, it's wicked awesome.
Hey, join Woodward Sports and Long Drink live every home game for the Detroit Lions VIP tailgate party at Eastern Market, Shed 5. It is always a bash. Starts at 9:30 a.m. until game time. The official Lions tailgate is back and better than ever, baby. How would you like to pregame it with Woodward Sports and be treated like a VIP? Food, beverages, entertainment, all included. Get your tickets online today at bullseyeeventgroup.com, or you can win some from Woodward Sports on this very day. Just subscribe to our YouTube, follow us on IG, and direct message Lions VIP.
Is that word again? Food.
I'm a big fan. I think I'm going to go get some wings. I think because I saw that Hamlin Pub thing.
Yeah, the wings.
I'm a huge suggestive selling. Oh my gosh! When I'm watching the Tigers, honestly, I start singing those Little Caesars 4 slices of deep dish, Pepsi on ice, and there I am running out to go pick that up. Honestly, suggestive selling works, man.
I'm a big believer in product placement. So if Hamlin Pub was as smart as we know they are, those wings in the middle of our table would be a really smart product placement, don't you think? Tomorrow's Friday.
I have a good idea.
We got 2 to 4. If I'm Hamlin Pub right now, I'm thinking, you know what? Wings and burgers would be really good in the middle of their table. And having those guys munch on it and talk about it is really smart. I mean, that's what I'd be doing.
Let's just say, for example, there are 2 guys on tomorrow from 2 to 4.
Yeah, whoever.
And you're Fairway Farms, and you say to yourself, yeah, you know what, man? You got the New Year's Eve coming up. Losers like Baligian, smoked meat all day.
Right.
What if I put a tomahawk right in front of Baligian?
Yeah.
And then as he's
and
talking
his partner. Whoever that may be.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And as I'm having a conversation with, let's say I'm working with Shep.
Yeah.
Shep, about Akil Badu. I'm sitting there, I can talk about Akil Badu and I can eat a tomahawk steak at the same time.
And give credit where credit is due. I mean, you do it with a dip, so why can't you do it with steak? I don't understand what the problem is there.
I'm dip-free.
Yeah.
I'm dip-free for now.
I mean, that would be really smart.
I think so. That'd be.
I'm not asking for a baked potato.
Listen
I'm not necessarily asking for fries.
If I
Fairway
had a burger,
Packing, you're listening?
It would be unholy right now what I do to that burger. No chance. No chance.
Unholy.
Baligian by 27.5. That'd be the line. I would destroy that burger. All right.
God.
Are we done yet?
You got 2 more minutes.
Do we really?
Yeah.
B. Dent, are you looking forward to the Pistons?
Did you hear that?
This has been a year, man.
You're watching.
There's
no doubt. We're all watching.
You're there.
Right?
I'm going to watch. Obviously.
I mean, Sean's going to watch some college football games, but you're going to watch, right?
I got a hockey game tonight, too.
But you got to peek.
Yeah, you have to, right? You have to.
Yeah, I gotta watch it. You know, I saw Jaylen Brown isn't playing tonight. I don't know how much that's gonna help the Pistons or not.
Okay.
They have faced teams all year.
Yeah,
with,
remember Utah? Yeah.
Missing players. Yeah, the Utah game was that was one for the ages, I think.
Yeah, that's the one I was on. I was doing the show the day before that with D-Mac here in studio, and I said they're winning, they're beating Utah, and boy was I wrong.
So did Mazaway.
Like, are we literally sitting here looking ahead to January 10th? Is that like when they play the Spurs? Is that like honestly? Is that where we're at right now?
Well, they do have to go to Utah. Who's to say they can't win? I kind of laugh when people are like, "Yeah, it's on the road." What do you mean on the road? I mean, they've got to win on the road. And they got to win at home.
You don't want to go into Salt Lake and take on the Jazz. That's one thing.
Especially if Lauri Markkanen's not playing.
Oh my goodness gracious!
Okay, now you want to fight.
And if Mark Eaton is there, forget it.
Yeah,
that's 3 challenges Shep has issued today.
No, I want nothing to do with that.
Jacques Vaughn may be the coach of Brooklyn, but he'll suit up for Utah again just to play the Pistons. Don't kid yourself.
Add that stat line. I made my points per game go up 3 points.
Darren Williams, you're in.
Pistons Celtics tonight. So yeah, bowl games, a Thursday night game.
We'll probably talk about that a little bit tomorrow.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Are we done now?
And happy birthday to me.
Yeah, happy birthday again to Pete.
The golden voice.
You want a puppy for your birthday? Look, I'll even deliver them, and I'll give you a year's worth of food.
I'll go to Fairway Packing. I live in Grosse Pointe. You know, I'll bring some tomahawks tomorrow,
listen,
baby.
I would deliver that dog to Thunder Bay to get rid of that evil out of my house.
Listen, if I'm getting food, I'm absolutely doing the same thing. I'll tag along. I'm not afraid.
Absolutely. The poutine in Thunder Bay is delicious. All right, listen, until tomorrow, we're back tomorrow, right?
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
Thank you, B. Dent. Thank you, Pete. Happy birthday to Pete. Shep, thank you for joining us here at Woodward Sports.
Hey, you guys hit the like button on your way out.
Yeah. Hit the like
subscribe.
button. And subscribe. And bring food. Take my puppy.
Bring food.